Going to have a look at what's grabbing headlines in the French newspapers now. Flo's here. She describes this as a slightly different press review today. You're starting with Libération, aren't you? The left-leaning paper. Turning the spotlight today on the Italian island of Lampedusa. Hundreds of migrants brought there on Saturday after being rescued in the Mediterranean.
That's right. Saturday was quite a tragic day in the Mediterranean. The Italian Coast Guard picked up around 1,500 people off the coast of Lampedusa. Now, this comes after 2014, a year that broke all records. Some 170 migrants landed on the coasts of Italy. You can see here Libération is outraged about this. It says this is a human tragedy that's happening amidst murderous indifference from the rest of Europe. And that photo there was actually taken in June 2014. Libération is really sounding the alarm today, saying this is not just an Italian problem.
And Libération reporting that chaotic situation, of course, in Libya has really sparked this rise in migrant boats setting out for Europe from the ports there.
Absolutely. Libération interviews Flavio Di Giacomo. He's the spokesperson for the International Organization for Migration, and he says that conflict and poverty in the Middle East and Africa has triggered huge movements of populations and bringing many of people fleeing poverty and war, etc., to Libya. And he also says that migrants in Libya have reported that in the last few months, the situation in Libya has become so dangerous that they don't really have a solution but to risk their lives and try to flee across the Mediterranean Sea. Now, Libération in its editorial says, what can we do to help these men and women who are living this tragedy? Now, according to Libération, Europe not only has a role to play, but also is partially responsible because, after all, these migrants are calling for our help and washing up on our shores. It calls for Europe to stop dragging its feet and take its responsibility.
Now, there are also Christians from Syria, aren't they, trying to escape as well? Minority that Le Parisien focuses on today.
That's right. Now, this is kind of a crazy story that you can read in Le Parisien. It's about a group of 33 pilgrims from a French Catholic association called SOS Christians from the Middle East. It's a very hardcore, traditionalist Catholic association, and Le Parisien Aujourd'hui en France reports that on Sunday, 33 pilgrims from this association left on a strange journey to Damascus to show the support for the Christians of Syria. Now, they're traveling under the protection of Bashar al-Assad, which doesn't seem to bother them one bit. According to Le Parisien, quotes one of them saying, Bashar al-Assad didn't get everything right, but at least he protected minorities. Do keep in mind that diplomatic relations with Syria, the Syrian regime, have been cut off officially here in France.
OK, we're going to move on to the conservative newspaper now, Le Figaro. It is focusing on fracking, a report the government allegedly, anyway, covered up.
That's right. You can take a look at it on the front page here. You can see it talks about gaz de schiste. That's a shale oil, shale gas, and about a report that François Hollande, the president, who's on the front page, allegedly buried. Now, fracking is illegal here in France, and the man you can see on the front page with François Hollande is a very familiar face. You might remember him. Arnaud Montebourg, he's the former Minister of Industrial Renewal. He was also Minister of the Economy. When he was minister, he was a big defender of fracking, saying that it would boost French economy. And in 2012, he commissioned a report on shale gas, which concluded that there is a way to exploit France's shale reserves without harming the environment. Now, Le Figaro got their hands on this report, and they're outraged that the president buried this. And they're especially outraged because, according to Le Figaro, the president buried it because he was facing pressure from the Green Party. And so Le Figaro says there needs to be research, scientific research at least, on shale fracking.
And another story in the Figaro today, it reports on a growing trend in China, rent-a-fiancé.
That's right. You can read about it in Le Figaro as well. It reports that in China, many young people are facing more and more pressure from their families to find a mate, so much so that they're renting boyfriends or girlfriends to bring home for the holiday to take off some of the heat. Now, this is especially a problem for young women. There's actually a word in Chinese that's called sheng nu, leftover women, essentially women who are unmarried in their 20s. Now, they're often only children and are facing a lot of pressure from the family, society pressure, etc. Now, Le Figaro reports that internet agencies, rent a boyfriend or girlfriend, are booming, and it makes for some very funny stories, which you can read in Le Figaro, including some love stories. So sometimes these situations end up, happy ending.
That's nice. Rent a ring as well, presumably.
Rent a ring, perhaps. That comes later.
All right, thanks, Flo.